Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wimpy Studio. Today I'm here with another episode of the News and Reviews podcast where I'm going to be covering a variety of topics today. For starters, episode 3 of The Summer I Turned Pretty, and then going into the new Fantastic Four Marvel movie that dropped this past weekend, talking about the season finale of Stick, the Apple TV golf show starring Owen Wilson, and my thoughts on it being renewed for a season 2, and then the South Park episode that was released last week with Trump in it. I'll talk about that a little bit at the end, so stay tuned for that if you're into that. I won't go into too much detail because it's not really something I feel super comfortable talking about the nitty-gritty details on this, and I'm sure people who will listen to have already watched it if you're into that. But yeah, let's just start with episode 3. I thought this was a mixed bag of an episode. I think a lot of people online felt the same way, that they liked some stuff about it, but I thought a lot of people were acting out of character. And frankly, I agree. I think there definitely were characters, specifically Belly, Jer, and a few others that I really do think were acting out of character that I'll kind of talk about as I go through this. I'm trying to think where's the best place to start, because I do like how it kind of brings the family together at the end, because I do feel like we've kind of been missing that throughout the season. I mean, the first 2 episodes, everyone was kind of separated, especially Conrad, and then the parents too, or Laurel and John and Adam. So now, I like that we're getting everyone together. I mean, only for like a day, half of a day, if that, is we're seeing our characters back together. But I mean, as the season goes on, we're going to get to see kind of the group back together. And I am looking forward to that, because I do miss the thing I liked about season 2, especially episode 4 and on, is that we got the group dynamics. Like 4, 5, and 6, we just got all these group scenes together, and I like that about season 3. I think once we get back in Cousins and we get into the wedding stuff and all of that, I think we'll get a lot more of those group scenes, which I'm looking forward to. But alas, I think let's start with the Stephen and Taylor plotline, and then we'll get into all the other messy stuff, because I think their plotline's disconnected enough from the main plot that it's okay to talk about kind of on its own to get it out of the way. So Steven's recovering at Laurel's house. This is the most we've seen of the Conklin household in the entire show. Like, we saw it a little bit. We saw it in the first few episodes of season 2, but that was it. Like, we barely seen it, because in season 1, it's the entire summer at the beach house. Season 2, we saw a little bit of the Conklin household, but not much. So this season is the most we're seeing of it. This episode, this episode is like, we've seen it more this episode than the entire show. I did like seeing us in that house. It was something different. It reminded us that these characters do have a house, and they're not just out partying on the beach, running from place to place. So I did like that. So yeah, Steven is recovering. Him and Taylor aren't really on speaking terms. Taylor says that she's over him. She wants nothing to do with him. It's a little bit pathetic, if you ask me, how she's just like bashing on him, even with how she treated him by yelling at him in the car, and yeah. So I think she's being very immature here, and nothing's changed there. She comes over, Belly asks her to be her maid of honor. She says yes, and then her and Steven have a little interaction downstairs where he says, "I'm okay," when she tries to help him up to his room, and then she like touches his arm. So I'm like, clearly there's still feelings there, but yet she says that she's over him. So is she just saying that to Belly to get her off her case, or is she in denial? But you think if she was in denial, she would have just asked Belly to meet up somewhere and not even expose herself to Steven. I think she clearly still has feelings for Steven. It's just she's so immature that she can't go about, like, figure out what the right way to go about that is. I don't know. I think they will get back together. They kind of have to, right? I just hope there's actual growth between the two of them before they do, because it's just been so messy so far this season. But the gist of this is Lucinda, Taylor's mom, asked Steven to check her books because she's having trouble with it all because her boyfriend was the one who did it and they broke up. So Steven looks at it. It turns out that Lucinda's really struggling and that she could lose her salon by the end of the month because she hasn't kept things under control financially. So Taylor's upset that her mom involves Steven, but her mom was trying to get Steven and Taylor back together, trying to match make them. Taylor's upset about it. They don't know what they're gonna do. Personally, I feel like involving Taylor's mom in the storyline was just low key weird. Like, I would have been fine to see Taylor's mom in a storyline with Taylor and her mom, but just the way they involved it into the Staler relationship is just an odd choice. Because it doesn't make sense. And I don't know. I think Lucinda's trying too hard to be like Regina George's mom, and it's just not really working for this because it's just not that type of show. She just doesn't really fit the mold. I think I would have liked Taylor's mom to just have herself put together a bit more instead of just like sounding super childish and crying like a toddler when she was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It was just very pathetic. But I mean, it's like mother, like daughter. Like I'm seeing those similarities between them. On one hand, though, the one thing I did like about that the mom said is that she called Taylor out by saying you did kind of cause his accident. I mean, like, obviously, like, she caused the emotions that led up to what happened. It wasn't obviously her fault that Steven turned the car around, but she did get Steven worked up and caused him to not think straight. So, I mean, I understand. I do think it's a little bit messed up that the mom would, like, guilt trip her about that. But then again, you know, I think Taylor needs to take responsibility into her part of the situation, and unfortunately, she hasn't really done that, and I hope she does that as time goes on. I don't know though. I will see how this storyline develops with. I mean, I don't know if Steven will continue to be involved in the plot with Taylor and her mom. I think it's just a weird plot because it seems like him and the mom already get along already. I think it would have been interesting if the mom was like thinking Steven wasn't good enough for Taylor and there was a plot line about that, like him having to prove himself. I mean, granted, I think we already kind of got that with Shayla. He had to prove himself to be with her and all of that. So maybe that would have been a repeat. I don't know. I just think it's a weird storyline with those three characters that we'll see where it goes, but I'm not too invested in it right now. Steven did have a funny moment, though, when he was on bed rest. Funny, when Laurel thought he was watching porn. And I'm like, isn't Steven like 22 or 23? Like, it was just so funny to me how Laura was treating him like a child. And then after Belly steals his computer and she runs out of the room and he yells, "These women!" I literally cracked up for that. That was actually hilarious. I love that. I like the Belly and Steven convo too. I'm liking that we're getting way more interactions with them this season. It makes sense. I mean, it's the final season. Make these two actual brother and sister instead of just like teasing and there's just tension and all the time. So yeah. Okay. Let's talk about the parents real quick. So Adam shows up to drop Belly off at the house after he picks her up from college. So Laurel says, like, you don't have to keep coming around here to check on him, and that what we did is just a one-time thing, and you're not convincing me otherwise. So it's like kind of like a stupid plot line. Like the fact that they hooked up was stupid, and this whole aftermath is stupid. Like, if they would have just both agreed that it was a one-time thing and moved on from it, I would have been, like, more happy with it. But the fact that John clearly wants more, or not even, like, back together, but he clearly wants to at least talk about it, and Laurel's brushing him off and saying, like, you're coming to visit Steven too much, even though that's his dad. So, or his son, I mean. So, I don't know. I'm definitely weirded out by that interaction. I'm 50-50 on whether they get back together. I don't know. I'm going to assume not, just because I feel like they're going to sum it up that Susanna was Laurel's true love. And I think they just don't, Laurel and John just don't make a good match anymore. So I read something somewhere that Laurel and Adam could get together, and I'm like, oh, hell no. I'm quitting watching if that happens. That is actually crazy theory and so stupid. I'm sorry. I would take Laurel and John any day over that. So, it's just nasty. Ugh. But yeah, I don't know. I don't care. Like, I really don't care about Taylor and her mom, their plotline. I don't care about the Laurel and John plotline. The only plot lines I care about are really the love triangle, which, I mean, I think that's what we're supposed to be invested in. I think they could have done a better job with these other subplots, in my opinion. But basically, I'm trying to think. Let's just start with Belly and Jer. So we start off with them in bed, and immediately I knew, okay, the Bonrads are going to be pissed about this because it's not very explicit. It's just very affectionate, and he's shirtless and all of that. And I just knew they weren't going to be happy about that because they find their whole relationship disgusting. I did not personally care for that makeout scene in the bed. I thought it was a little bit. I didn't really see much affection, or I guess I saw some passion, but I don't know. I think I'm just kind of getting less and less interested in their relationship, which sucks. That because I was Team Jeremiah. I'll talk about that more at the end, but he gives her a ring, the smallest ring known to mankind, like the skinniest little thing that Taylor even says, "What is it made out of tinfoil?" Which was funny. So yeah. I did think it was a cute moment though when he yelled out the window, "I'm getting married to Isabel Conklin," and she puts her hand over his mouth. That was a cute moment, I thought. What was it? There was another cute moment that I will give them. That was when she puts her head out of the car and yells, "Jeremiah Fisher's gonna marry me." I thought that was cute too. So there were a few cute moments between them. I just think the context of how he proposed to her, and that there's no ring, or the smallest ring known to mankind again, and all the other elements put together, it just makes it hard to root for them. I don't care about their age. Like I don't care about any of that. I care about what the adults don't know, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, Belly tells Taylor about this. Taylor's at first she's like, I don't know, not like rude about it, but it's like, what are you thinking? Like, yeah, kind of trying to get Belly to put her head straight. And then later on, she comes over with the wedding binder and she says, "I'll be your maid of honor." So that's like a sweet moment. We knew Taylor was going to be the maid of honor. She also has a goodbye moment with Annika, where Annika says, "I trust you'll make the choices that are right for you." I think Annika's a good friend. I'm looking forward to seeing her more, especially once we get to the wedding parties and all of that, and seeing her and Belly's friendship, maybe seeing her and Taylor starting to connect instead of just jealousy there from Taylor about their friendship. But I think Annika's good because Taylor's very much like a bratty friend. I mean, a good friend, but is very like honest and like, yeah. Annika's a good balance because she's like, I think truly, like, I think they both have Belly's best interest at heart. Annika just like, with how she expresses it, you can just tell, where with Taylor it's a little bit questionable at times. So we got to see Agnes again, which was cool because I didn't know how much more we were going to be getting of her. But yeah, we see her and Conrad running, and she says, "I can put in a request," or I know this guy named Phil who has like this lab work company that Conrad can work at. So she hooks up with him and basically says like, "Hey, it's looking good for you to get a job here." I like their friendship. They're sweet. I'm interested. Why introduce a new job offer like this when like we assume he's going back to Cousins in like the next episode or so? It's a bit odd to introduce this and then probably have him turn it down. But I don't know. I think we're probably I would like to see more Agnes. I could maybe see her being either Conrad's date at the Belly Jer failed wedding, we assume, or just show up at their wedding at the end, assuming that they have one. To me, I think that's probably what will happen. I think we'll see her more. I think she's a good friend to Conrad. She helps him out. He helps her out. They're honest with each other. She's very much like kind of like tells it to your face what you're doing wrong and what you can do better. And it's a little like at times it's a little bit of a turn off of a personality type, but I don't think it's overkill. I think she's a good friend. I would like to see more of her for sure. So Conrad decides last minute to show up at the garden ceremony. We knew he was coming. That's what she said. We knew that he was going to come to the garden ceremony. Like that was obvious from the trailer, first of all, and just you knew Conrad wasn't going to miss something so important to his mom. But Jared gives the speech. It's a sweet speech, nothing like too extraordinary, but it makes sense. It fits what Susanna would want. Conrad shows up and he watches from the back and he sees Belly and she sees him, and there's like this slow-mo shot where they're looking at each other and he gives a little wave, and it is sweet. It is sweet. I will give them that. I had a few butterflies in my stomach when I saw that little slow-mo of them looking at each other. And then everyone welcomes Conrad back. They take this awkward family picture. Yeah, it's very awkward. It's very awkward. And then we had the scene straight out the book where Belly tries to dress herself up for Conrad, but they don't make that clear in the show. But they have the same things. They have her cut her leg, put a Band-Aid on. She's in the same dress, has her hair the same way, I'm pretty sure. So I don't know. I'm curious. What was the point? They never, unless there's gonna be more to it where she does admit I was dressing up for Conrad, but she didn't know he was coming. I guess that was part of the surprise too, right? So I don't know. I'm not sure what to think about that. I think that was they wanted to be book accurate, but it didn't really land like it should have to me. But they get to the restaurant. And Steven and Conrad kind of have this awkward conversation. And it just goes to show you how disconnected that Conrad is and from the family. I think that it shows that too. Steven thanks him, for helping out for his accident. And Conrad says it was just, a call. My boss just called someone, and Steven says, you saved my life, or you helped, and I appreciate it. He doesn't reveal, though, that he got fired from the job. He doesn't reveal that. I kind of wonder what his dad's going to think when he finds out, if he's going to, get mad or whatever. I mean, he likes Conrad a lot, so I don't think he'll get super upset, but I don't know. So they get to the restaurant. There's this immediate thing where Jer and Adam buy the biggest things off, or the most expensive things off the menu. Kind of shows something about their egos, if you ask me. Conrad orders something a bit cheaper. Belly orders something really cheap. She orders a side as her entree. And then Adam's add a seafood tower to it. And it's, and Laurel offers to pay. But you could tell she immediately regrets that with how expensive of things that people are buying. So the adults go around and they share things about each of their kids that they're proud of. So let's see. Laurel says something to Steven. Thank you for saving me that extra tuition at Princeton. And then Adam side eyes Jer. Adam says Conrad, you're the best, so you're so successful, keep doing good things. Laurel says your future's bright to Belly. And then Adam says to Jer, you're a super senior, here's hoping it's the final semester for you. And then he chuckles. It's just a very rude thing to say. And even if you're Team Conrad, I think you can agree that was completely uncalled for Adam to treat Jer like that. It was my heart broke for Jer in that moment. And it reminded me why I do like Jer's character like that. In that specific moment, I really felt bad for him, where I've kind of been struggling with his character so far this season. So to kind of make Jer feel better, Belly tells the family that they're getting married. She shows off her ring. Laurel is pissed. Adam is pissed. Steven's in shock. Conrad's silent. Everyone has their own reactions. Nobody is happy about this announcement. And it gets pretty ugly to the point where Laurel says, I'm canceling this dinner. We're done here. Adam does assume that she's pregnant, which Taylor also asks earlier on. So apparently if you're getting if you get engaged while you're young, everyone just assumes you're pregnant. That is very clear to me based off of what happened in the book too. But this episode, they had two different times. Two different times where she was asked if she was pregnant. There's probably going to be more too, if you ask me. But yeah. So the episode ends with Belly and Jer being separated from each other in classic Romeo and Juliet style. I think if there hadn't been the prior cheating, I think I would have felt more with what they were trying to do there. Because to me, when they were being separated, I just felt like with everything that happened, I don't think you two should be together. Like, I don't know. I think she should have just broken up with him. Like, and I don't know. I think they should have taken more time apart before they got back together. If they cut, keeping with the cheating part of it all, or not cheating. I don't care. I'm just calling it cheating just to like generalize it. But I think they should have at least taken more time apart instead of just jumping back into this and then getting engaged. So I don't know. The ending shot of Conrad, like, reflecting and all of that, it was it made sense. It reminds us the love triangle is still very present. So there's that. I mean, I feel like that dinner or lunch scene, whatever time of day that was, I think it was lunch. I think it was good. It provided a good ending to the episode where things really ramped up because the most of the episode was very slow. And then, it ramps up at the end and we're like, oh my gosh, like this is intense. So, yeah. All in all, though, I'm looking forward to episode 4. So, comment down below what you thought of episode 3 and what your theories are for episode 4. Let's jump into the Fantastic Four, the latest Marvel movie that dropped on Friday the 25th. Let's see. Let me look up who stars in this movie with the Fantastic Four. Obviously, we have Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm, which fans know him as Eddie Munson from Stranger Things, so I know a lot of people like them. Pedro Pascal, which you know from The Mandalorian, he played Mando. He's Mr. Fantastic. Let's see. Vanessa Kirby plays Sue Storm, which is, I'm reading something off of Wikipedia right now. Reed Richards is Mr. Fantastic. Sue Storm is his wife. Vanessa Kirby plays him. Let's see. Hold on a second. Ben is played by Ebon Moss-Backratt. Sorry, I'm definitely pronouncing his name wrong. And he's the one whose skin transforms into orange rock. He's the Thing. And then, Johnny Storm is played by Joseph Quinn. And there's a few other minor characters throughout this. But it basically focuses on the Fantastic Four. The essential part of this movie is two things. One, their planet is being marked for death by Galactus. 2, Sue is pregnant. So, all in all, this movie was so easy to follow. Like, I had no issue following the plot, unlike Superman 2 weeks ago, where I was lost. It was still a good movie. I was just lost with the plot because of how crazy it was. Fantastic Four has got to be one of the easiest to follow Marvel movies I've seen in a long, long time. Like, Thunderbolts was very easy to follow, too. I'll talk about which movie I liked better later, but just the movie itself was just so, like, it was funny. It had a good story. It pulled on your emotions. I liked the dynamic with the four. The acting was great. The writing was good. All of that. I really enjoyed the movie. I feel like my dad, when we walked out the theater, my dad said he felt like it was missing something. And I thought about it, and I didn't really feel like it was missing anything in specific. I just think we like Thunderbolts so much that this didn't have the mental health aspect. It was a bit more supernatural, but not really. Like, Galactus was the villain, but he didn't really have I feel like Galactus was obviously just like a stereotypical villain. He wanted the child, blah blah blah. Like, maybe that's it, where Thunderbolts, you felt more connected to the villains, and the villain actually ended up being the Void, which was kind of like an interesting twist. Where in this movie, it was just like a classic villain with like nothing really to it. But I think what saved it was the dynamic between the four of them. You felt the chemistry and you felt the emotion. They gave this little surfer girl, whatever her, what is her name? Let me see on here. Shalabal. Yeah, they or well, sorry. They gave her a little background, and you kind of understood what led her to kind of be how she is, that she got like sucked up all alone and got transformed into this metal alien. So, and Galactus picks her up as exchange for him sparing her planet. So she kind of helps him out in all of this. So I think I like the cast. My favorite character, I like Sue a lot. I think she was a very strong female character. We don't always see those in Marvel, especially. So I think she really carried the movie, especially at the end when when you thought she died and she didn't actually die. I thought Joseph Quinn as Johnny did a great job. You could tell they were kind of thirst trapping though, with how tight of shirts they were putting him in. You could just tell, yeah, that's trying to appeal to those girls. I could just tell that. I thought Pedro Pascal did a great job as the leading man because he was funny. He kept the group in line. He wasn't like sometimes the main character is kind of unlikable. I didn't really feel that way with him. He kind of had his moments, but he was all in all like a good lead. And then you had Ben, or the Thing, and he was funny too. They kind of had like a little plot where he met a woman that didn't really go anywhere. I mean, it was like a cute little like side plot, I guess. But I think my favorite thing about the movie personally, one, is that we can't do this alone. We have to do this together. Which I think was a theme in the Thunderbolts too. I think it worked great for the Fantastic Four, and it's an easy theme that's not hard to like introduce and weave into your stories. I think it's just like simple. Like, we have to do this together. We can't do this alone. Again, the four of them being like a family. The birth of the kid, which I thought wasn't going to be till the end. They did it like towards the beginning to the middle, like that rise in action was kind of the birth of the kid, and you almost kind of wonder, would the kid make it? And then all the way through, I thought, is the kid going to die? And then I thought, oh my gosh, Sue is going to die. And then I'm like, oh, Johnny's going to die. And then the surfer girl comes in and takes Galactus out, and then you think Sue's going to die. So that specific, like those 5 minutes really had you think like all over the place, thinking what was going to happen. And I like that because it gets you thinking for like, and you generally don't know what's going to happen. I thought she died. I thought Sue died. To me, I'm like, there's no way that she doesn't make it out of this. Like the music, the emotion, it reminded me a lot of when JJ died from Outer Banks, just everyone gathering around him crying. I thought it was the same thing, except here there was definitely more emotion than there was for the JJ death. It's a Marvel movie versus a Netflix show. What do you expect? I also thought the dynamic between Sue and Johnny was cool. That brother and sister duo, they gave them a few scenes. Yeah, I like the dynamics, how we kind of got a little interaction, a little friendship between all four of them, and they genuinely felt like a family and not just these four people that happened to be mashed together. I like that we got the flashbacks to the rocket crash too, and how they kind of filmed it in this old timey footage. I like that a lot. Of course, the ending. Spoiler alert: Doctor Doom, he shows up. And he is getting a hold of Franklin, who's the son of Sue and Reed. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. That was a great ending. They're setting up Doomsday, which comes out December of next year, I believe. They pushed it back, but definitely looking forward to that movie. I'm looking forward to seeing how the Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four hopefully will come together at some point. I don't know what movie that will be, but I think it kind of has to happen, right? Like, it's like, but they're both about groups of people working together, working through stuff, different themes. Like, I prefer Thunderbolts over this movie. I think I liked Superman and Fantastic Four in different ways. I think I like Superman better for the emotional and overall theme. I preferred Fantastic Four for the chemistry between the actors and easier to follow. So they were both good in different ways. All three of those movies were miles better than Captain America, which I genuinely cannot. The only thing I remember about that movie is that there's a political aspect and there was Big Red Hawk. The only things I can remember. I barely remember anything else from that movie. It was that forgetful, where I feel like all three Thunderbolts, Superman, and Fantastic Four, I'm gonna remember. Like they're gonna stick with me because that's just the way they are. Speaking of stick, let's talk about the finale. The finale was somewhat predictable and somewhat not. We knew the dad was going to come back and be an asshole. For a second, you thought he had redeemed himself, but he didn't. I'm surprised that Santi was so eager to reconnect with his dad after what he put him through. I thought that was kind of odd. I mean, maybe Santi was just hoping for the best and that his dad had truly had changed. I mean, that's reasonable to think, right? I mean, you kind of want to believe that your parents are doing the best for you. I just think it was a little bit naive of him, but he's 17. I do wish his mom had talked to him and tried to be like, he's not like I wish we had gotten a scene, or even I would have liked a scene between the mom and the dad. I think they could have put in a few more scenes that could have made the episode a little bit longer and less about the tournament itself and more about the dynamic between Gary, Elena, and Santi. And they mostly had it just be the dad being an asshole and Santi being indecisive, which, I mean, it's not unreasonable. I mean, it's like valid, It's just, I think they could have done a little bit more there. I do think I was surprised when they had Santi switch caddies. I felt bad for Price, but I was not surprised. Like, I knew he was going to lose. Like, that was predictable. But then he brought Price back, but he still ended up losing. But that wasn't the point of it. The point was he made it somewhere with Price. He didn't make it anywhere with his dad. Price is not his father. Gary will always be his father, even if he's not a great father. But Price is the one who made him who he is as a golfer. He made him this successful, where otherwise we would have just seen him still at that range shooting. Sorry. Yeah. Like, that we still would have seen him there. Like, nothing would have changed. So I think he really has Price to thank for. I like that scene where he hyped him up and said, "You've made it so far." It pulled on my heartstrings a little. It was a sweet conversation, and seeing at the end Price swinging that golf club, it was a nice ending. I think season 2 we're gonna see several things. I think the dad's definitely sticking around. We're gonna get more of that. I wouldn't even be surprised if they have a love triangle between him, Elena, and Mitz. Of course, maybe not though. Because maybe if the dad had started to redeem himself, that would be more likely. But at this point, with the dad still being a douche, I don't know about the love triangle. I could see him and Mitz having a bit of a rivalry, though. I think that's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen with Santi and Zero. They didn't get much screen time. I mean, we'll probably just see their relationship continue to develop. I would like to learn more about Zero's history, maybe meet family of hers. I don't know. I think that would be cool. More Elena and Santi's relationship would also be nice. I like the dynamic between Price and Elena too. So I think more interactions. I mean, the Mitz and Zero interactions that we've gotten the past few episodes have been good and something different for the two of them. I would like more stuff like that. Different characters interacting differently. We have our core 5, and if Gary becomes an actual character, that would be 6. More interactions. That's all I want to see. And let like, not just Mitz and Price, not just Elena and Mitz, not just Santi and Zero. Like, there's definitely more interactions between the main characters that we could see for sure. So I'm looking forward to season 2 for that. I think it's not the best show. It's not perfect, but I think it has potential. Especially this finale, I think, was overall a good finale. It was definitely better than I thought, because I just thought they were going to win it, and I didn't know what was going to happen with the dad. Like, I mean, I figured he wasn't going to be good. I figured he was still going to be bad. and I was not shocked. I was not surprised. Like, my theory became true. So really quick, before I jump off of here, they released this South Park episode, and there's a lot of different elements to it. I'm not going to talk. The main thing I'm talking about here is they had Trump as a character in South Park. They brought him in. They made so many jokes about his small dick. So many jokes about how shitty of a president he is, and all the shitty things that he is doing. They really they dogged on him the entire episode, and then they had that pro Trump PSA at the end, 1 of 50, which was hilarious. I mean, the scenes between, I'm sorry, spoiler, Trump and Satan in bed, though, made me kind of cringe, but I was still laughing the whole time. I mean, personally, I think they did maybe a few too many dick jokes, and they could have done a few other jokes about, like, how bad he is at what he's doing. I think maybe 1 or 2 would have been fine, but I think they kind of went overkill because there was like 10 different penis jokes throughout the episode. But it's South Park. I don't watch South Park. I have a friend who does. She loves it. She says this is pretty much what it is. Every episode, satire. So, I mean, it's not surprising. I literally watched it because it was Trump, and I find Trump so fascinating in everything that he does, and this episode was like, yeah, this is why I think this way about him. This is why I don't support him. Blah blah blah. But it was a funny thing to watch. Now, if you're not into that raunchiness, and don't watch it. If you are fine with it, and I haven't seen many pro-Trumpers watching this and being happy because Trump himself is pissed. Probably the White House will sue South Park, but they'll get through it because they've been sued so many times. They always bounce back. So, it was funny. It was satisfying. And I watched all the reaction videos to it online, and people thought it was hilarious, which, that's valid. So, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say. So comment down below what you thought of all I talked about, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, everyone.